Imagine sitting at a table where every move you make could shift the balance of global power. That's exactly what's happening right now between the United States and India. Some voices in the West, like Howard Lutnick, recently suggested that India will eventually come back to the table like Canada did, folding under US pressure. But here's the truth. India is not Canada, and treating it as such isn't just wrong, it's dangerous. Because while Canada and India may both be democracies that deal with Washington, their histories, economies, alliances, and political cultures couldn't be more different. And before we go further, if you're finding this breakdown valuable, make sure to like this video and share it with friends who care about how global politics is shifting. It helps the channel grow and keeps us bringing you this kind of content. Now let's unpack why comparing India to Canada is a mistake, and why Washington needs to understand India on its own terms. First, history. Canada grew up inside the system, while India grew up resisting it. Canada was a settler colony. The British came, stayed, built institutions, and gradually handed over governance. Canada became a dominion, then a partner, while still pledging loyalty to the crown. Even today, King Charles III is technically its head of state. That heritage matters. Canada has always been aligned with the West, first under Britain, then under America. Its laws, economy, and institutions were born inside the global order. India's story couldn't be more different. Colonized, exploited, stripped of wealth, the numbers tell it all. India's share of the world economy collapsed from about a quarter of global GDP before colonization to just 3 to 4% by independence. Freedom wasn't handed over on a silver platter. It was fought for through decades of resistance, struggle, and sacrifice. That memory lives on. It shapes India's identity and explains why sovereignty isn't just rhetoric. It's the core of its foreign policy. And this is where the first hook lies. When Washington pressures India, it isn't dealing with a partner born inside its system. It's facing a nation forged in opposition to external dominance. Next, let's talk economics. Canada is deeply tied to the United States, so much so that over 3/4 of its exports go south of the border. Cars, oil, lumber, agriculture, it all flows to the US. That dependency means when Washington sneezes, Ottawa catches a cold. Recent tariffs prove the point. Canada retaliated, tried to push back, but its GDP shrank and unemployment spiked. Eventually, Prime Minister Mark Carney rolled back tariffs and taxes, conceding ground to restart trade talks. This is a pattern, short-term resistance followed by inevitable compromise. India, though, is built differently. Yes, it trades heavily with the US and China, but no single partner dominates. It has strong ties with the UAE, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the EU. That means if one door closes, another one often opens. Look at energy. Despite American objections, India bought discounted Russian crude, saving billions, while also locking in LNG deals with Qatar and France. India even experiments with settling trade in rupees, tiny steps toward reducing reliance on the US dollar. This economic flexibility gives India leverage. It can say no in ways Canada simply cannot. And that's a key difference Washington cannot ignore. Now let's shift to alliances and security. Canada is America's closest ally. NATO, the G7, the Five Eyes intelligence group. You name it, Canada is in. Its defense is largely outsourced to Washington. The US nuclear umbrella, NORAD, these structures mean Canada can spend less on defense and still feel secure. But it also means that when the US asks, Canada usually complies. The 2018 arrest of Huawei's CFO Meng Wanzhou at America's request is a clear example. India, meanwhile, walks a different path. Its neighborhood is tough. China to the north, Pakistan to the west, border disputes, regional rivalries. India cannot outsource defense. It must be self-reliant. That's why it maintains one of the largest armies in the world, a nuclear arsenal, and a fast-expanding navy and space program. Yes, India partners with the US through the Quad and buys American defense technology, But at the same time, it keeps strong ties with Russia, BRICS, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. It never ties itself fully to one camp. Instead, it balances East and West, carving out space for its own interests. And here's another hook. India isn't looking to be anyone's junior partner. It wants respect as an equal power. Leadership and public opinion further highlight the divide. Canadian leaders, whether it's Trudeau, Poilievre, or Carney, often speak of partnership and shared values with Washington. That language reflects reality. When you depend so heavily on your neighbor, partnership is survival. Canadians by and large support that approach. But in India, leaders from Modi to opposition figures speak the language of sovereignty and multipolarity. Strategic autonomy is the phrase you hear again and again. And it's not just politics. Surveys show US favorability in India has dropped significantly. Indian voters don't want leaders who bow to Washington. They want leaders who stand firm. That's why when Prime Minister Modi or Foreign Minister Jai Shankar push back against US pressure, it resonates with the public. Before I continue, let me pause here. What do you think? Should the US treat India as an equal partner, or will Washington always expect deference like it gets from Canada? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear where you stand on this. Looking forward, India's trajectory is very different from Canada's. Canada will likely remain within the US-led system. Geography, trade, and history tie it tightly to Washington. Yes, it may seek diversification, but structural realities mean its options are limited. India, however, is on the rise. It has the world's largest population, a young workforce, and a growing digital economy. It's expanding manufacturing and becoming a hub for global companies looking for an alternative to China. India isn't content to simply fit in. It wants to shape the rules of the game, represent the global south, and push for a multipolar order. That doesn't mean India ignores pragmatism. It still needs access to Western markets, capital, and technology. So it won't burn bridges with Washington. Instead, it balances, pushing back when necessary, but avoiding irreversible breaks. For example, India increased trade with Russia and China but skipped China's recent military parade, signaling it won't lean too far east either. That balancing act is the story of India's foreign policy. Autonomy, flexibility, resilience. So what lessons should US policymakers take away? The temptation is to treat India like Canada, a reliable partner who will eventually fold under pressure. But that's the wrong playbook. Canada is structurally dependent on the US, and its leaders rarely have another option. India is not built that way. Push too hard, and Washington risks alienating a partner that could be central to global stability in the decades ahead. If the US truly wants a strong relationship with India, it must meet it as an equal, respecting its sovereignty, acknowledging its history, and engaging on India's terms. Because India is not Canada, and it never will be. As we wrap up, let's circle back to where we started. Howard Lutnick's comment about India coming back to the table like Canada did isn't just a throwaway line. It reveals a mindset in Washington that misunderstands India's DNA. If the US keeps forcing comparisons to Canada, it risks missing the bigger picture. India is carving its own path, one that could redefine the balance of power in the 21st century. And that's why this story matters for all of us. If you've stayed with me till the end, thank you. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. And as always, thanks for watching.